A conversation with small business guru Michael Rager on business conflicts. That is our topic for today.
Welcome to the Lawyers and Mediators International Show and Podcast by instantmediations.com, where we discuss law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. Catch regular episodes on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. Just remember, nothing in these episodes constitutes legal advice, so be sure to talk to a lawyer, as cases are fact dependent.
Hey everyone, this is attorney Mac Pierre-Louis, attorney, mediator, and arbitrator, working from Florida and Texas.
And Natalia Łowska-Czajka, advocate, mediator, and arbitrator from Warsaw, Poland, but also working in Florida, Supreme Court Florida Certified Family Mediator.
And we're here with our good friend, Michael Rager of teachyourbusinesstofish.com. And Michael, we have invited you to come here today to talk a little bit about what you do and introduce you to our audience because you have been the person who had been interviewing us recently on NowMedia on the topic of conflict resolution on your show, BizTalk with Michael Rager. So Michael, could you share a little bit about yourself just briefly before we get into the topic about conflict resolution in the business world?
Sure. Thanks for inviting me on, Mac and Natalia. I really appreciate it. Well, a little bit about me. I actually, when people come and hire a business coach, they don't expect one that's got a master's degree in trout biology. So I spent 20 years in the oil and gas industry. You talk about conflict resolution. I was an environmental consultant on oil and gas projects. My job was to say no all the time on major construction projects. Left that, me and my partner sold our company to a major consulting firm off the East Coast. We helped them open up Texas. That was back in 2001. About 2010, I started my coaching in this business. Got into coaching, started working with John Maxwell, doing some leadership stuff, and grew Teach Your Business to Fish out of that. So it's just my passion is fishing. I think there's a lot of analogies and a lot of things you can learn from fishing and taking your business there and understanding what you need to do to catch big ones and keep it going and do it repeatedly. So we've been there. We've got the TV show going. We've had you and Natalia on, Mac, and we've really enjoyed it. And hopefully we can have a great conversation here and see what we can share with your listeners.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. And it's always a pleasure to be with you and talk with you. Even when we were doing those little interviews with you on NowMedia, you have always been giving us little hints and tips. And we're talking about business conflict, so actually business conflict resolution. But I understand that if you manage your business properly and you are able to make money in your business, it is the best way to prevent conflicts to happen. Am I right?
Yeah. Nobody wants conflict when we're making money. The problems come when things are not running the way they're supposed to be. And in business, especially if you've got partners, if you're a solopreneur, it's just you and the person in the mirror that you got to argue with. If you got partners, when things are not going well, that's when the egos get in the way and we start talking and conflict occurs. So the main thing to focus is on making money and being successful. When we're successful, there's very little conflict.
Yeah. So you have some personal experiences, right? And have been dealing with this. Could you give us a few examples that the typical person out there who's starting a small business might need to consider and think about?
Yeah, one of the things you got to figure out, if you're the owner, you're the guy that came up with the idea, if you've done something, you got to protect yourself. There's as business owners, there's two people that we don't like. It's our lawyers and our CPAs, but we need them both because one, they charge us a lot because they give us great advice and they keep us. Is that old commercial that used to be on? You can pay me now, or you can pay me later. And one of the things that I really recommend my clients do is form a great relationship with a good business attorney early on. One of the things we want to do is we want to make sure that we got the corporate docs set up right, and especially the ownership shares and how voting goes and all that within the company. So we make sure that we understand if we get it stalemates, how things will be changed and, how we'll go through that and fix it. But what happens if, we get to the point we got a business divorce? We want to get there. We want to get to the point that it's as simple as possible. I've got a lot of friends that are lawyers, and we've sat around the table drinking whiskey and talking about these business divorces for like $20,000 up front. They could have set this thing up that'll save them 200, 300, 400,000 on the back end, because it just gets ugly. And that's where we want to get. We just don't want to get ugly. I've had it happen in a company that I started. I started back in 2014. I started a company, and I was working everything. I had two of my friends say, "Hey, I want to come in on this. I want to be there. We want to get things going." But here's Mike working 80 hours a week on this thing. Partner A is dabbling 5-10 hours. Partner B's maybe 10-12 hours. And then I wrote up the agreements, and they expected it to be a 30-30-33-33-33 split. And I'm like, no way, man. I'm the one who's put $100,000 into this. I'm the one putting every waking moment of my time in here. This is not going to be that way. Now, if you want to infuse cash, you want to infuse something else to help bring an equal part. But it got ugly, and it was not good up front. And, it was a good thing I had a good lawyer. So, that's what I'm all for good lawyers.
Thank you so much. And this is also why we formed such a good friendship with you. But I understand the first piece of advice: think ahead and have a good lawyer. But I understand that you also help with structuring businesses to avoid conflicts. And when you are doing that, I remember us talking, you told me that the first moment where you assess business, you are able to identify why they are not doing well, because they are not taking good account, for example, of their costs. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. We use a tool called Profit Accelerator in our business. We kind of go in and we interview a business owner. And in that interview, we promise that we'll interview them for about 45 minutes. We promise we'll find them $100,000 in new revenue, and about another $100,000 in new profit. What we see is most business owners and most business coaches, so in the realm I'm in, business coaches, a lot of time they go in and preach revenue. And we teach, three things. Revenue is for your ego, profits for your pocketbook, but cash is fact. We want to go in, and does the business make money? And we need to go look at it from that perspective. Is the business operating in a way that if we go start marketing and we start bringing on more higher end business development, can the business actually function? I had a company, I went in and visited them. They've been a client of mine for a couple of years, and they're like, Mike, hey, we really want to, we're at 2 million. We really want to get to 3 or 4, and we really need, some marketing. And I went walking around the floor of the company, and I went to their operations manager and I said, hey man, we're talking right now. We're going to turn on this marketing funnel and we're going to increase business 25%. And he just gave me that deer in the headlight look. He goes, we can't handle that. We don't have space. We don't have people. We don't have the things. We are at maximum capacity right now. The actual what it was is the size of the business. Their warehouse was a bottleneck. They really couldn't grow much. So we had to work on triaging things. So we did make things more efficient. We spent the first 6 months trying to make their operation more efficient. That operation, making it more efficient, we pulled down revenue, but actually increased profit and cash. So it's not always revenue that's the most important thing, but it's having somebody that's gonna come into the organization that can really help you look at that. And a lot of times business owners are looking at the wrong thing, and we got to get them to focus on the right thing at the right time. There's going to be a great time. We're actually going to expand their floor, and then we're going to pour money in the marketing. And we'll probably take them from 2 to 5 million in 18, 19 months, just because they'll be ready. They'll be ready for that growth then.
Yes. And so, Michael, a few minutes ago, you were talking about like a business divorce. Recently, we were doing a podcast interview with a lawyer who does prenups for couples who are contemplating marriage. What are your thoughts about doing a sort of prenup for your business? Because I think that's what you were kind of getting to, right? So how do you plan ahead if you are going to divorce? What are some tips you might give for basically what would be a business prenuptial agreement?
Yeah, it's funny is my partner, I've got another company, White Boys and Whiskey Company, and I got a partner in Australia. So he's running everything in Australia. I'm running everything here in the United States. And so that's some of the things we're talking about right now with our attorneys. We've got our trust set up. my holding company is M. Rager and Son. I've got one boy. So my son Cameron is kind of everything the trust is set up for him. He's only 12 right now. But, my friend partner Chris has a couple kids and a wife. And so we want to make sure that if we ever get to that point that things go bad, that we're agreeing up front and putting it in writing that we're not going to screw each other's family, so to speak. We respect each other enough now. It's one of those things you really don't think it's going to go bad. I mean, like, we're like brothers from different mothers that just live halfway across the world from each other. I mean, we both fish, we both like drinking whiskey, we both like, it's like, it was amazing the first time we met, but those are the kinds of things that we're doing, Mac. We just really want to make sure that we're protecting each other and we're respecting each other right now in that place, just in case. And
Before Natalia continues, can I follow up on that by sharing whiteboards and whiskey on the site? Could you talk a little bit about this since you were just on it?
Sure. So it's in the business coaching realm, and we're even going to start offering this to lawyers. We're not really good at going out and getting new clients. We get referrals and we get this stuff in, but to actively go get new clients, what Whiteboards Whiskey is an opportunity for us as a business coach consultant to actually hold a session and talk about a topic and whiteboard out business challenges in front of potential clients. So what we do is how I run it, how Chris runs it right now is we'll invite up to 15 members. We'll sit around a board table. We'll have whiskey. So we'll do a whiskey tasting. And what we'll do is we'll go around the table and find the number one business challenge in that room right now. And then we'll whiteboard out some issues, some solutions. And for me, it allows people to see that I'm not really a fake. I know what I'm doing. We're actually talking about one of my clients here. There's a law firm. They're interested in running it, and what they want to do is they want to run whiteboards and whiskey on understanding how to pick the right corporate structure for your business. And so what it does is it sets up potential clients in a room to see you as the expert and then engage with you to do work afterwards. So right now here in Houston, when we run a whiteboards and whiskey event, we average about 14 to 18,000 in new revenue that comes out after it because we brought the right people in the room to hear us. We've got our right prospects. And that's one of the hardest things about marketing. People just try to market to everybody, and we don't want to market to everybody. We want to market to the right people that are easy for us to work with, that are fun with us to work with, and have the capital to work with us, because I'm not cheap. And, we want to be able to go there and move it. And so that's where we're setting it up. We're actually setting up a franchise model here in the United States, and in Australia, it'll be a licensing model. We really wanted to go licensing here, but we talked to a couple of attorneys. And as you guys know, the licensing franchising gray line here in the United States, we just felt it was easier just to spend a little bit more money and a little bit more time and go the franchise route. And right now we're doing it in 3 cities here in the United States as kind of our final beta test. And we're doing it in 2 cities in Australia. And we have people right now in Philadelphia, Denver, Chicago, Dallas, and Fort Worth already looking to buy in on us. So we're getting a little bit of a traction going there.
But back to the topic of our conversation again, when we are talking about business conflicts and you are the business coach, do people mainly call you when they are already in conflict, or do you get referrals when the conflict is about to happen, or people just are stuck with something and there is still not a conflict? So what do you appear?
I'm going to tell you, it depends on the size of the business. Smaller businesses, I'm going to say smaller businesses being $500,000 and less, they call it the very last minute. We're about to go bankrupt. We're about to go through divorce. We're about to do something. They will not spend the money ahead of time. More medium-sized businesses, they will, hey, there's something going on here. We're not sure what it is. Let us get in and start, poking around. I had a meeting Thursday morning with a company. They own 4 companies. 3 of the companies are doing very well. The others is a logistics trucking company. It sounds like you're doing 1.6 million a month and you're doing okay, but they're honestly losing $300,000 a month right now. And, I met with the HR director and I met with the COO, and there's a bad apple there. And this person needs to be fired, but this company hasn't fired anybody in 8 years. They pride themselves on, and it's like, right now your arrogance is keeping you because this person is a bad apple. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows what's going to happen. We can probably replace that $300,000 just by firing this one person because they're keeping business away. And so now it's like, how do we come in and go there? And it's one of the things that I like to teach when I get into conflict is a formula called E plus R equals O. It's event plus response equals outcome. The only thing that you as an individual can control is your response to the event. The event's going to happen and an outcome's going to happen, but it all depends on your response. If we got a fire and we go throw gasoline on it, we're going to have a bigger fire. If we got a fire and we throw water on it, we're going to put the fire out. And what we see is, in a lot of times, 99% of the times, conflict escalates because of bad response. We get emotional, we shout off, we spout off, we yell, we scream, we do this instead of sitting back. And so a lot of times it's going into the leadership side of the business and understand how effectively you lead a company. And that leadership side comes to how well you respond to issues. And most business owners, I know a lot of leadership coaches, I coach with John Maxwell, and a lot of leadership coaches fail because they go out and they try to market to leadership. But that's not what it's not why that guy's not sleeping at night. The guy at the logistic company is not sleeping at night because he's a bad leader or he's a frustrated leader. He's not sleeping at night because he's losing $300,000 a month. Go in and help him solve that problem, then come in and work on his leadership skills. And that's where it is. It's usually the earlier stage the business is, and the younger the leaders are, they have trouble leading. They do. I got a law firm I'm coaching right now. They're growing. I started coaching them. They were doing 600,000. They're projected to do 600,000. They did 900,000 the first year we worked together. We're projecting to hit about 1.5, 1.6 right now. But the leaders, they're young. I mean, they're younger. I'm 57. They're in their mid to late 30s. And there's still a little bit of ego on here. And we got to, as the coach, you got to get them back, step back and look at the big picture. Over to the right, I see on the camera, I see that it looks like a Golden Gate Bridge and it looks like everything. If that's what we want, we got to get back and see it. And we got to ask that question: is your response to this situation going to help you or hinder you for getting to where you want to go? And a lot of times that's where that E plus R equals O comes into, and they really have to sit back and think about it. And one of the leaders of that company, I meet with both of them together and I meet them individually. We get a lot more done when we go meet individually, and as we just go sit back and, okay, go ahead, vent. I get it, you're mad, something's going on, but all right, now let's go throw logic back into this. We got the emotion out because we know people make decisions based on emotion and then justify it via logic. We got to get to when it's big corporate decisions, we've got to get the emotion out of the way and do it in a way that it's, you're not affecting your partner. You're not making them mad. You're not doing this. Get the emotion out of the way. Now sit back and go, okay, now logically, how do we have to handle this?
Awesome. Well, we're about a minute down, and so I'm going to share your website one more time. Could you tell us the best way people can get in contact with you? And by the way, is this you?
That's me. That's back when I had like regular hair, and my son was like 3.
Okay.
That is me. The best way to get a hold of me is Michael at teachyourbusinesstofish.com, or give me a call at 713-201-5559. Those are the best 2 ways to get a hold of us. We're on social media. We're all over Facebook and LinkedIn. Find us there. You can connect us through our messenger. Let them know you saw us here. If you love to, the show that we do with you, BizTalk, we're always looking for great business leaders to come and talk about ways that they can help other business owners avoid pitfalls and, grow their business. That's what it's all about. So, we really appreciate you guys having me on today.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys. You have a great weekend.
Awesome. Thanks so much.